Yep. And currently we are showing you the field of players. Still a lot of Magic left to be played. There we go. We're heading down to our future match area. Remember, this is just over the halfway point for the day. We still have 4 rounds, counting this one, of Magic left to be played. So no one's quite punched their ticket quite yet for day 2, but we're having some deciding matches right now to at least getting there. But still, only about a third of the way through the tournament process. Long, grueling event. Lots of Magic left to be played.
And Dave Booker is someone who knows what it's like to be off to a good start at these things. I was 8-0 at the RC in Edmonton overnight, and then the wheels fell off on day 2, did not convert that to the top 8 of the invite. And that I know that one, that still stings, and he wants to get that signature finish to show his delightful personality to the entire world. And that's what I want for him too. So two good friends in this match, and I can be impartial. I don't know if you can, Mason, but I will be studiously above the fray.
I will do what needs to be done of me. I'm a professional. I will be as impartial as I can be, and I'll work from there.
That's my goat.
Yep.
That's why you're the best in the business, Mason.
I'm the main character, as you established earlier in the broadcast. So that's how it be. Oh, but is it prowess versus omniscience is not something that we've seen yet here on coverage yet, Dom. It is also a matchup that I think, among some of the titans of the format, sort of who's favorite here and why.
Yeah, so this is an important matchup, right? Especially if you're going to play Omniscience. This is a matchup that you've tested the most. And if you don't like your odds there, probably not going to register it for the tournament. And Dave is someone with a wide range, so if the vibes are off, he will be off it too. So I think the key things in this matchup are your game 1. Omni is pretty favored, I think, as long as it gets to do its thing. Just go fast. You have lockdown, so they kind of have to play into your lockdowns because they can't afford to just play it slow. Post board though, when the power set gets more disruption and then also stuff like Ghost Vacuum, just sticking to the combo plan becomes pretty difficult. So you see some people try and pivot into some odd-looking control deck, and this build that Booker and Fournier and others have brought very well suited to doing that with all the overlords and scroll shifts and so on. And the way the prowess deck is built matters a lot here too, right? So if you're 4 Swift Spear, 4 Slick Shot, just outright aggression, you can Goldfish a lot more, turn 4 on the play, let's say. Whereas if you're all like Drake Hatchers or, God forbid, Thundertrap Trainers, Mason, then you're going to be taking it a little bit slower.
Yeah, well, Thundertrap Trainer maybe has found a matchup where it's not great. With that being said, you will find your sideboard cards more often too, so there's a little bit of there going on. Boston is mulliganing.
One trend that really has helped the Omni decks in the matchup is there aren't that many main deck spell pierces in a lot of the prowess decks these days. There is other stuff that can be annoying, like more Floodmores, which can hassle your lockdowns or can threaten to like bounce your Omni to make you have protection on your combo turn. But not getting your combo outright foiled at the first step by spell pierce, that's pretty crucial.
All right, well, we're about to see. I didn't get a chance to see who won the dice roll for going first, but definitely something that matters a fair bit in this matchup. Looks like a stock up pretty quickly getting thrown to the bottom there, as Storm Chaser's talent, Corey Steelcutter. Just double checking. Yeah, didn't accidentally drop a card or something. Adhikar Waste passed the turn. Taking a second to think here. Maybe wants to cast a cantrip, looking for some of our few ways to actually interact in game number 1. Storm Chaser's talent will be the play. And Spell Pierce is going to tag it.
Yeah, easy to forget. The Omni deck has its own Spell Pierces, and those can stymie that aggression, right? You kind of talent counter Cutter, especially on turn 2, can kind of stock up later on, or sometimes you'll get to a point where they have interaction, but you just have your Spell Pierce, so you force your combo through.
All right, sleight of hand. Looking for that land drop.
Nice portal sleight of hand, I want to say. especially knowing Boston.
Yeah, signed as well. All right, we picked up Monsters Whisper. What a catch there for Boston. Almost dropped a card, but didn't. Rolling
We're seeing
Dragons.
a second land drop, though, it looks like. So Booker's going to have the chance to get all of his ducks in a row. Running Dragonstorm. Pretty innocuous on the surface, right? Just, is it that much better than Shard, of course? But once you have all of the dragon synergies and scroll shifts and so on, like it becomes a centerpiece of the deck. Boston still on the hunt for a second land drop.
Finds the mountain, plays the Swift Spear, attacks for 1, and gets a Forest and Surveillance time.
And as Chad points out, this being an open Decklists tournament, there's no suspense over who has what interaction or how much of it. Booker can see Boston only has 1 spell pierce in 75, and it's in the sideboard. So the coast is all clear in game 1. And yeah, David gets to fire off the Abralos of the Omni, the nice game 1 holding hand shake, as they would call it.
What? Oh, they're holding hands. Oh, they play. Is he asking his friend to give him a hand? He's in a scary situation. I get it. Okay,
A helping hand, if you will.
A helping hand, yeah. So we're gonna resolve this moment of truth.
It's just dudes rocking, just dudes being fellas.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I love it. Stock up here, and this is one of the awkward parts about the Azorius Omniscience deck. Sometimes you theoretically can whiff, so everyone has to sit around and wait.
Yeah, it is a little difficult to resolve stock up, look at your top 5, select 2 if your other hand is occupied for some reason. So all hands on deck now for the actual combo portion.
Looks like we have another Omniscience. So if we do whiff, we are going to be able to play an Omniscience, which will allow us to be safe from a thing like Into the Flood Maw or Torch the Tower. We need to have multiples. As well as Awakening, rolling.
I will also warn people in advance. David Booker is known for playing the most hideous, cursed printings of his cards possible, especially if you can do that en masse and make that the theme of an entire deck. So as a visual experience, I can't promise great things for this match, but the vibes will be immaculate.
Okay, I think we maybe won, Dom. I might be mistaken. I thought we at least got the Saga. Oh, we don't have the other piece yet. I see. That's my bad. All right, well, there's another Omniscience. And a passing of the turn.
Boston gets to take more game actions. Let's go.
Yeah, and this is a thing that some people can't stomach about the Azorius Omniscience deck. We did our thing. We saw all these cards, and we didn't win. Now, obviously, you're kind of a huge favorite when you do what David just did, but it does happen, and this is why some players choose not to play this deck, as Monsters Whisperer gets cast here for Boston.
Yeah, the idea of jumping through all these hoops to assemble your, 2.7 card combo and then whiffing anyway is hard to stomach. You gotta be made of strong stuff.
All right, we find a mountain off the opt. Do you have a Monstrous Rage in hand? If I remember correctly, so that's available to us if we need it. No point for right now, though. It's just a passing of the turn back. Meticulous Archive, the pickup here. Maybe it was a Verge, and I was mistaken there. Okay. We're reading ahead to get stock up. We spent mana on the stock up?
Fascinating. So I think, well, yeah, so if you're casting it off Founding, then you have to do it the old-fashioned way, aka playing. Yes. But there is Meringue River Region. So Dragonstorm going back along with Boston Swift Spear and Booker's other, and yeah, but Boston has seen enough.
Yeah, this is a spot too where, once again, maybe we actually whiff, but getting the Meringue down just means there's actually a clock, and stuck on lands, not going to be able to deploy enough before David can get out of it. A tough start there for Boston, but Azorius Omni, basically winning the game, quote unquote, on turn number 4 there. We'll have to see what these players have in their sideboards here for game number 2. So, starting off with the Azorius Omni, we have a couple Authority of the Console, some Bezas. You have Minor Misstep. That's a card that's seeing a little play, I guess. Now, anything else jump out to you, Dom?
Yeah, Misstep obviously great against a deck with 21 drops in it, but specifically post board when you're hitting Spell Pierce, Ghost Vacuum, or Soul Guide Lantern, even like all of the so just really flexible card, especially on the draw, right? Where if they have some of their faster starts, you need something cheap to keep up.
That makes sense to me. All right, well, let's check out the Is It Prowess deck sideboard, see what they have going for them. So a lot of one ofs and two ofs like we've seen all day today. There are a couple cards like Spell Pierce and the Floodmaw Negate. Those are some pretty easy ones. Any other ones really jumping out to you, Dom?
Yeah, I mean, Ghost Vacuum is like this is what it's here for, right? And then you can add in like the extra Floodmore, Spell Pierce, Negate, and so on. The thing is though, both players they might not know the exact details of the opposing list coming in, but they know the general approach of what's going on here. So Boston is going to know not to really overvalue a card like Ghost Vacuum against a deck that is gonna maybe be playing more like a weird control deck, right? With
Mhm.
this Overlord Skullshift package with your Beza, Clarion Conqueror, even, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's a card we've seen kind of trumping Ghost Vacuum as a hate of choice. So, yeah, a lot of these cards will still be coming in, but Boston will know that he's not playing against some like pure combo deck where one well-timed Spell Pierce will cause everything to fall apart.
Makes a lot of sense to me. As we can actually see the players in our future match area sideboarding right now. It looks like Boston's cutting some torches, maybe even a slick shot show off here. Has them kind of pulled up to the front. Interesting to see. Really thinking about maybe how is David going to sideboard. I think that's one of the real strengths of these transformational sideboards, especially an open deck list.
Yeah, and to clarify, so Booker not in the exact same squad as Daniel Fournier, who we saw with the full commitment to like Blue Overlord main deck, 2 to 3 scroll shifts, and so on. He's more dabbling in some of these elements. So he's got the cheeky one scroll shift here, and then the white overlords and so on, and some of the other popular sideboard cards. But his list a little bit closer to the norm, but doesn't really change the analysis in terms of like he has a lot of other angles post board if he wants them, and it's I think talking to a lot of different Omni pilots, you don't really get a consensus on are you meant to still be trying to combo? Do you board it all out? Do you keep like a little bit of it all so you can threaten it, but it's not the main thing anymore? It's a really tough balance to get right.
Yeah, and it's so easy just to make the one small misstep in your sideboarding where you play and get completely punished. Even if maybe, the person you've played against a lot or practiced or the, common wisdom is one way. If things break a different way or they go they believe differently, it can be disastrous for you. As both players really thoroughly shuffling and taking their time sideboarding here. But, we were afforded a little bit of extra time thanks to such a quick game one. You can do that extra time, Dom, is you go to face2face.com, pick up all the cards you want from the upcoming Final Fantasy set. Comes out pre-release is, God, 2 weeks already, Dom. Time flies.
Yeah, that's really the message we should be giving the youth of today is if you can't pay attention to something for 30 seconds, just go start shopping.
That's what I was thinking. God, we're on the same page, Dom. We just really get it.
Right?
And you should
It's
Klarna it
a
too.
real melding of the minds.
hmm Yeah. And if you can't afford it now, you can just pay it off over 7 months, you know?
Exactly.
hmm And on an investment like Final Fantasy packs, I mean, kind of dumb not to. It's the best selling set of all time.
And it hasn't even sold yet.
Yeah. It is crazy that from pre-orders and stuff, it is the best selling set of all time. And there's so many casual Final Fantasy fans who are going to be at Walmart, see Cloud or Sephiroth from across the room and just buy the thing. You know, they're like, "Oh, this is my favorite character" or whatever. They had no
Some
idea.
like giant 10-foot inflatable Buster Sword or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I really only know Cloud, Sephiroth, and Kefka. Those are the three names I know.
Those are some pretty good names.
Yeah.
They are, to some extent, the main characters of their own franchise, as you yourself are.
Yeah. Me, Cloud, Kefka, just the big three. It's truly a moment.
We need to find you a love interest who, at first, just is skeptical of your whole deal, but over time, when they see your acts of heroism,
I'm gonna
start
guess that.
swooning and falling madly in love with you.
Is that the Cloud story?
I mean, it's really a lot of their stories, to be honest, but they kind of
Okay.
go back to the same well over and over again.
Well, it's a timeless tale.
Yeah, I mean, Zidane and Dagger, Squall and Renoa.
Mm-hmm.
The list goes on and on.
Does Vivi, the blue red card, have that same story?
Vivi's really more of an incel, I think, although he's kind of harmless. But Vivi just not, you can finish the sentence.
Well, all right, we're gonna go Spiral of Canal to Storm Chaser's talent. Make an honor. Excuse me, Island. I'm just I'm stunned. I'm stun locked right now, as it looks like Boston has.
I mean, Vivi's card does, you know what though, does redacted. Like that card is nice. Anyhow, maybe soon coming to an Is It Prowess deck near you. But for now, in this one, Boston does have some places talent on one, does have a second land this time, so we will hopefully be getting a more competitive.
All right, Storm Chaser comes down, triggers prowess. Island for the turn. Oh, so planes, excuse me, into Rolling Dragon Storm. Do we have the omniscience to put in the yard? / we're still doing that right now. Looks like we have some stock ups, meringues, and maybe a little interaction with the Faras.
Yeah, it's interesting if Boston sees Boko just discards omniscience, let's say, to this Dragonstorm. That gives you a lot of information. Now, like if you see an Omni, obviously he hasn't cybered out the combo entirely, but if he's discarding on turn 2, does that mean he still has all of it in, like 4 Abrelos, 4 Omni? Does he have like a little bit of both? Because if there's only 2 Omnis left in the deck, it's less likely that you would find the first one, right, and have it ready to go. So there's a level of you rule some possibilities out, and then you have to kind of update your probabilistic assessment of some others.
All right. Boston took Storm Chaser's talent instead of Monster's Spear. Besides, that's what I want to be doing this turn. Doesn't do a second spell to trigger the Quarry Cutter.
And yeah, this is more of a 5-0 start from the Power deck, right? Storm Chasers into Cutter into hopefully a second spell, but that seems somewhat complicated. And no, actually, Boston does not have the follow up. So just a attack for 2 with the Otter, and Booker has to be feeling some amount of relief there. Looking at Boston's hand, I mean, we see I think a second Storm Chaser's talent, right? So if that's the case, I mean, this is a big commitment to the idea that I think you probably have lockdown, and this is me hedging so that I can plausibly rebuild.
Yeah, it definitely is. But by doing this, are you giving them lockdown in a casual way, right? Like,
right? It's a classic thing of, well, you go out of your way to play around something, and in a way, you've almost like manifested its presence there, even if it wasn't, because you've delayed your own development so much.
all right, negate was the draw for turn. It's pretty big. You could level up your talent, pick up sleight of hand. Obviously, that lowers your shield for a card like temporary lockdown, but your opponent just used a piece of spot removal on your Otter.
And the thing about the combo in this matchup is For the most part, it's pretty face up. So if there's an Omni in the graveyard, you're concerned about Abuelos, but actually getting it there and bringing it back and doing everything else in one turn, that's a lot of cards and a lot of mana. So from a board state like this, you're barring like hitting Yahtzee on end step moment of truth, right? Like you kind of know on your turn how much you need to respect that threat. So yeah, you can safely level up your talent, get back your card for next turn, and the worst that can happen is something like this, right? Or lockdown or whatever, but it's not a flurry of spells with a not dying 5 minutes from now.
Definitely. Stock up drawn for the turn. Sleight of hand's going to start us off. Remember, Boston does have Rebel Salvo in hand. Deal 5. Looks like no lands here among them for Boston. Boston would have loved to have picked one up.
And Beza, especially in a deck like this, right? It's not a dedicated control deck. It's not built to be one. Beza is not winning you the game by itself. It just buys a lot of time, and it's a nuisance. So you kind of have to kill it, but it's not the same as the that we've seen in these decks as well, where okay, you put Meringue in play, well now they're dead in 2 or 3 hits. Beza is just chilling out, being a nuisance, and until security escorts it from the building.
All right, we are holding the Storm Chaser talent in hand for another turn. Into the Flood Moss up. Something to think about Spell Pierce up. A lot of things David has to respect. Now we know Boston has none of those cards. All right, it's
Tyrant
another
Conqueror
dragon.
there. So 3-mana dragon, shuts off Ghost Vacuum if that were to appear, picks up the Dragonstorm. And again, right, are you scared of a random 3/3? Not in the abstract, but if it's also doing like 2 or 3 other things and shutting off some of your hate and whatever, like that adds up too.
Okay, Op starting us off here. Boston thinking about it. Does really want to land too. Finds an APAC island. Or maybe a Euro island, excuse me. Storm Chaser's talent could finally be deployed here. A lot of patience on this. It's going to get us another monk. And yeah, it looks like we kept the original monk equipped. That way it would do 1 more damage. You don't always have to equip the new monk to the Core Steel Cutter. Good type play there from Boston.
Yeah, it means we can attack into the 3/3 without needing to commit yet another spell to let it trade if necessary.
Right, Scroll Shift picked up here. Temporary lockdown in hand for David. A lot of mana up from Boston. Boston's also been, for a lot of these turns, representing stuff. How much longer can David play around it, though? It's got to be a question going on in his mind.
It looks like there was an Otter token miss from that talent.
Yeah,
after all of that hullabaloo around the cutter.
Can you miss an Otter token? I guess it's a trigger.
It is a trigger, and it's not tied up with anything else. So you can, in fact, miss it. Heading back into the Dragonstorm here.
I'm rolling in the Dragonstorm. All right. Omniscience hits the graveyard.
So that at least tells you something, because until this point, in this game, no telltale signs that Booger even had the common plan in his deck still, right? You maybe assume he did, but you didn't know. Now that you've seen Omni, a lot of other pieces fit into place, but then you wonder, well, if he's bringing in, the Bazers, the Conquerors, this other stuff, like what is getting cut to make room for all of this?
All right. Temporary lockdown gets negated. Boston has a board full of creatures. It's going to start off with a stock up after playing Mountain for turn. And being down this otter is pretty huge. All your spells being shocks instead of bolts, essentially. It's a pretty big difference. Sleight of hand. All right, we're going to get a new monk. That one's going to be one behind the gang, but not the end of the world. I think another sleight of hand picked up there from Boston. Yeah, it has Into the Flood mod too. And still has lethal. And that's a pretty powerful play there from Boston. And you're seeing them double check the math here. It's 10 from the two monks, and this other monk is one behind on the prowess triggers, getting +1/+1, of course, from the Corey Steelcutter. And I gotta say, that was a very impressive sort of burst there. And it just shows why people love the cutter deck. You can do a little setup, you can play around stuff. We miss a little damage, maybe we miss an otter, maybe we play slightly too safely, right? Doesn't matter. End of the day, we sort of got there and be able to kind of fire off these huge chunks of damage. And I think that's one of the things too that's really hard about this deck, as Dom is taking a second to reconnect here, is that sometimes, and Dom, you're back, you have to like do these setup turns so that you can set up turns like that, and it's not the most traditional, sort of beat down deck in the world. You do spend a little bit of time doing setup, and have those flurry turns that win the game. Dom, welcome back.
Hello. Seems like that second game reached a conclusion. It was tending towards on board.
Yep. We cast a bunch of spells, we into the flood mod the dragon, and we attacked for lethal.
So yeah, this is where like the idea of pivoting is pretty compelling, right? But if you tell the story of that game, what happened? Like David had a lot of stuff go his way. Got to do the Clarion Conqueror Dragonstorm thing, had Beza, had some interaction, countering some spells, drawing some cards. But what did all of that amount to in the end, right? Like Boston just kind of did the usual prowess stuff, and that was more than good enough. Despite playing quite conservatively early on, like not committing into the lockdown that Booker didn't even have. And so if the idea is, well, until Chris Botello in Harvard last week, like people weren't winning with dedicated blue-white control. And so turning my deck into some kind of odd offbeat blue-white control deck against fully powered prowess, like is that a great way to go? On the other hand, like, okay, can I be a full combo deck when they're still going fast and they're bringing in 5 extra cards that are all good against my combo? Like that doesn't sound appealing either. So I think if you found a way through that bind, Omni would be a great deck to play. As it is, it's still a very good deck to play. You see Booker and others doing very well with it. But that's the one question there isn't like an easy answer to.
Agreed. Well, these players are shuffling and presenting some sort of token on the screen for a second. Can't quite make out who that was. Was that you, Dom? Everyone seems to have all these cool tokens in Canada.
It might be me. I'm a pretty cool token.
Yeah. You've got a couple tokens of you, don't you?
I do. And I am the token Brit in most circumstances.
You know, we don't have a lot of you in Magic, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, I say I'm one of the best Brits. That's not actually a high bar, but increasingly, though, Sean Goddard, Autumn Bouchette, of course, still one of the all-time greats, not just great Brits. So we got some shooters, but
you have shoot, yeah, but like I feel like, and I'm sure there are some I'm forgetting, but it's like I know those three, and then I think Will Hall from commentary, right? He brings the voice here, and then I'm kind of like, I know there's somebody I'm forgetting. There's got to be.
We have some up and comers like Alex Rohan won the European RC with Breach a few months ago. What's that?
Is Mick Winsauce British?
Oh, he is. Now,
yes.
As far as I can tell, he doesn't exist on the earthly plane, only in the tubes of Magic Online. But I think his legal address is in England. Yes.
Okay. All right. Mick Winsauce was the one I was thinking of. I was like, I know there's somebody. I think they play a lot of Magic Online. Okay. A good name, by the way. If you're gonna pick, Mick Winsauce, you got to back it up, and Mick Winsauce be doing it.
You do be winning and sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
Booker going back, and Boston as well. So both players on at most 6 cards this game, which again, that is a position that favors Paris, right? Where you have your 1-drops, you don't really need any specific cards. You can have like a 2-lander and just do your thing. On the other hand, the Omni deck, like you have a lot of moving parts, a lot of expensive cards. You kind of need to have everything in the right ratios. And if you're a deck that has rummaging or looting effects, right? Your Dragon Storms and so on, you just want more actual material that you can discard as needed.
Little handshake here.
What's the point of being on camera against your friend if you can't lovingly caress their fingers as you're shuffling?
I don't know. That's a good point. I've never thought to do it. I don't get many feature matches these days because I'm like behind the mic so much too. That it's like, when am I going to get my chance to, lovingly send my hand across the table? I don't know. It's tough.
And Booker going back to the deck. So 5 cards here. And Boston too. I don't think this is some gentleman's agreement to mulligan to oblivion, but that's the way it's tending.
Yeah. Who do you think? I think I go, is it prowess on the mulligan game? I think that's where my heart leans.
For sure. It is in one sense it's odd, right? Because you're a prowess deck, you need like a steady flow of
I'm not. Although I would like
of spells that you can cast, and then also you need the right mix of threats with prowess and then cards to trigger prowess. So harder to have all of that on 5, but yeah, I still think that
he told me that he will.
that game state favors the prowess deck.
When did you find that out? Like 2 days ago or something? Dom will say hi to you? No. He told me that he will come. Oh, okay. Really?
All right, let's see if we get some good 5s. Have a scrappy game of Magic here.
You're supposed to be in our Airbnb. Now it's only 5 people. It's intimate.
A little rubbing for good luck there for David. All right, it's looking like a good 5 from Boston's side. David has some lands and spells. I can't quite make out one of them. It does look like a third of the council is among it.
A question for you then. So if you look at your 7-card hand, let's say you're going to 6 and then now going to 5, what kind of cards do you value differently? And are there cards which maybe look a lot more appealing in a 7-card hand, but are one of the first candidates to put back if you're going to 6 or going to 5?
I think something like Lithomantic Barrage, for example, is something I'm like pretty happy to sort of just have hanging around in the 7. If I'm like, is it prowess? And it's like, okay, this is gonna maybe clear the base. I'm on the draw, right? We gotta set up, a nice little turn 4 win. When I'm in this position, I just want to be doing my main thing and making sure I'm making my land drops, casting my spells, and curving out while having the interaction up on the turn I need it. So that would be like one of the main ones that jumps out to me in this spot here as Authority of the Consoles is going to make this Otter enter tap and gain a life for David. All right, into the Dragonstorm we go. Big turn here. If a Omniscience hits the graveyard, that could put Boston under a lot of pressure. Although you might also want to save it in case of a Ghost Vacuum. Sleight of hand here for Boston, starting things off. Finds Enduring Curiosity and Monastery Swiftspear. I think we took the Swiftspear there. No, we took the Curiosity, excuse me. I missaw. And really showing the kind of game Boston is wanting to be playing. A tap land for David and a passing back to Boston. Mountain for turn. And do stock up. Trigger the prowess on the Otter.
Yeah, perfect card to have on 5, right? To recoup some of that card disadvantage and just find the stuff you need to press ahead.
Looks like negate land are kind of some of the top ones. Looks like we are going to go for the Ghost Vacuum and the negate. Sort of try and cover the combo. An attack
That
here
makes sense.
2.
Now this is the kind of game though, right? Where if Booker had like Beza in a turn or two, you're going to attack with his island here, a rare but advanced maneuver. That would be useful, or something like in a few turns, just hardcasting Meringue, right? Like even if you have all your open mana, what exactly do you do about that?
It looks like we maybe drew Beza for turn. And I think Boston has more cards in hand and more life, so we're going to pull ahead on life and get a card for the trouble. All right, turn 2, we took the Enduring Curiosity, setting up for a turn like this. The Lord has tempted us with a core Steel Cutter off the top. We'll be stray from the plan. If you do, you lower your shields on the negate as well.
And we saw Enduring Curiosity in circulation there, and it's in his hand. So he might decide, he can pass the turn. He has negate ready if anything too bad happens. Otherwise, he can flash that in and then try and set up for a very big turn here. And I wonder if Booker will even attack, bearing in mind, he has a threat of Cat on his radar. Boston just passed without doing anything. Yeah.
Yeah, Voice of Victory forcing the hand here for Boston. Has to play the Curiosity now or never again. Listen this turn. Add a card waste for David. Voice of Victory, modern staple these days. Making its standard appearance and Beza not heading into combat.
Yeah, Misplaced Ginger famously said the card is unplayable in Paris or in Energy. I don't need to read it to know that it's bad. And I believe has 2+ copies in his latest list. So, people can change and things can change.
Yeah, this is the same guy who openly mocked me before and after the RC I played Amalia in when it was the best deck in the release weekend, and said I can't believe you're playing that. And then when I didn't qualify the Pro Tour, implied that I didn't do it because I chose Amalia as my deck. So God bless Misplaced Ginger.
I mean, he really got your ass there, I have to say.
Yeah, he really got me. Oh God, it's an all-timer moment. Maybe you should have played Amalia. I was like, yeah, maybe I should have. I should have played Rakdos Copter. Oh my goodness. As Corey still kind of been played, it seems to have resolved. I mean, David isn't looking at his hand. I think Boston's just thinking, do I want to monstrous rage this cat? Or do I want to ghost vacuum, or do I want to hold up negate that doesn't really do anything because of voice of victory, but could. I guess you could have also equipped the cat with the Corey Steel Cutter, to be fair. That's a real line.
Yeah, so if anything, maybe making this attack screams that you must have the Monstrous Rage, because otherwise, yeah, it would be so easy just to suit it up and start attacking, right? So if you put Monstrous Rage in Boston's hand, then do you want to feed the Beza to it? Do you try and double block even? And yeah, Booker's going to double block.
Yeah.
So the Rage will get this to a 7-4.
Which is not good enough to get both.
Yeah.
So my real question is, I mean, I guess if you're doing this, you're killing Beza, right?
I would assume so, but if you think that negate is going to be important, then
yeah,
maybe you just have to leave, because the Beza is just a 4/5 now, right? Whereas the voice is a relevant game piece, maybe in a whole different way.
Yeah, and the jig is so up. David knows Boston has a counterspell in hand because he looked down and is like questioning everything, and it's just clear. I think Boston maybe also got the math wrong on, you know, like, oh, this Monster's Rage was going to be a 2 for 2. But here comes Ghost Vacuum. Now, of note, Ghost Vacuum could eat the Beza and eventually turn it into a Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, Boston has 5 downs already, and this is a game which it's not ending anytime soon, it looks like. So the Ghost Vacuum kind of secret mode of just make all of the stuff that's in circulation, it's real. It can come up.
All right, just a passing there from David. Boston has to feel like they got away with something. Opt the draw for the turn. Gonna lead on Ghost Vacuum. Trigger prowess. No opt before damage. We want to get the curiosity draw. I like this. Trade a point of damage to get a little bit more information on what kind of game you actually want to be playing. Excuse me.
I wonder if Boston's considering just leveling out the talent this turn.
From the way he's gesturing, I think he is. I think he's also, now that he's done the Swiss Spear, thinking about maybe just playing it in passing and setting up a bigger turn on the following. Because this is going to, you know, get a monk as well.
Yeah, I don't hate that either.
Yeah, this play looks pretty solid to me. I mean, David obviously has a ton of life at the moment. Yeah, I believe he's at 21. I think it's being a little slow to update, but excuse me, 22. But still.
So there is a safe plan. This would be a great turn for Meringue, but yeah, just passes back again.
Yeah. All right, Ghost Vacuum now has a Beza underneath it too. Could turn into a real part of this game. And it's prowessing time. Opt starts things off. Sleight of hand was the pickup. Cast Sleight of Hand, gonna make a monk. Not gonna equip it. Throw it to the consoles. I mean, that's just down 1 damage. Currently 10. So we'd be attacking for if unblocked. Lithomanic Barrage and Monstrous Rage, 2 good ones. Takes the Litho, wants to clear the Voice of Victory. Plays land for turn. Lithomanic Barrages, Voice of Victory. That's 13 damage by my count.
And that 1 card left, which it seems so clear has to be a negate or something similar. And it's really going to cut off Booker's outs getting back in this game.
Yeah, it looks like Meringue River region is our best thing, but Enduring Curiosity finally really raising its ugly head here, getting 3 cards for Boston. It's mostly lands another Ghost Vacuum, but still made it to those Warner draws to the turns. More than enough. Can't be countered. Good on that.
Yeah, and this no longer looks like a game where Boston mulled to 5, right? He has recouped every single resource and then some.
Very much so. Voice of Victory under the Ghost Vacuum. That's a powerful ghost. Opt cast here. Immediately +4 damage. Slickshot show off the draw for the turn. The matchup where players like Slickshot the most. Land for turn, has a Ghost Vacuum in hand to help trigger prowess. Can also just pick up something with Storm Chaser's talent. Looks like maybe Monstrous Rage. It's a lot of damage. Double checking math real quick. 9 is what's on board currently.
And I think we're about to see another soft, gentle handshake.
Yeah, this is where David should be holding his hand out. That way, she's in a scary moment. Needs his friend.
He ain't scared. He's a piece.
All right, Monstrous Rage added to the hand. Doesn't main phase the Ghost Vacuum. Implies to me we're not raging. So I don't think it's lethal. I might be off though. Maybe it is. We seem to think it is. 6, 10, 13. 9, excuse me, 9. And then you gain 1. Maybe it's exactly lethal. I was just off by 1. It is. And congratulations to Boston, moving on to 6-0, locking up day 2. Impressive stuff and showing us this deck can really game even on a mold of 5.
Absolutely, yeah. And he is in his wheelhouse playing these spell-heavy Izzet decks. I know I lost a mirror to him, it feels like an eternity ago at this point, when he seemed a bit disenchanted with the deck, and so was I, but he seems to have, got back in his groove and off to a swift 6-0 start here and shows no signs of slowing down.